Hi everyone, welcome to the BioEdge.
Large hoofed herbivores such as bison seem to be more powerful than any rodent herbivore, and so it's easy to assume that in herbivorous ecosystems, the large ungulates are the main force shaping the vegetation, and in a sense, farming the vegetation for their own ends. In other words, affecting vegetation in a way that promotes the productivity of the kinds of palatable plants that the large grazers and other herbivores themselves value. In North America, though, there are two types of rodents that possibly turn the tables in the sense of being powerful enough to promote vegetation on behalf of the herbivores and not the other way around. In most ecosystems, particularly in Africa, there are rodent herbivores of various kinds, but one could argue that it's the large ungulates that shape the vegetation, and then the rodent herbivores merely capitalize on the kinds of plants that are promoted by the large herbivores, and that the rodents are therefore a kind of a corollary herbivore class. Now, in North America, prairie dogs on the one hand and beavers on the other would seem to be powerful enough agents in the ecosystems that they could possibly make all the difference in some landscapes between forage suitable for bison and forage unsuitable for bison. Let's look at the prairie dog idea first, because I think that's the less contentious one. On the prairies of North America, prairie dogs are gregarious, fairly large, very powerfully burrowing rodents. And because they not only disturb the soil and damage large plants, but also turn the soil over and fertilize the soil, almost like tilling the ecosystem, it's possible that they promote small but extremely nutritious plants that make a lot of difference to the nutrition of bison. Bison are definitely dependent mainly on fairly coarse grasses, but more delicate and more nutritious plants could be quite important to them. So that's not a revolutionary idea, and it remains to be evaluated just how important prairie dog colonies are to bison. But what we've noticed here at the BioEdge is that the beaver seems to have been overlooked as a factor in the promotion of bison habitat. Beavers in North America generally occur in wooded ecosystems, not on prairies. And because beavers both cut down trees and dam rivers, they tend to recycle the woody plants in two ways. And they create effectively grassy patches, which have been called beaver meadows. And these grassy patches would not exist were it not for the powerful vegetation shaping activities of the beaver, both directly in terms of cutting down trees and indirectly in terms of flooding small patches of land next to the streams and rivers. Now, this could be particularly important to the wood bison, the northern subspecies of bison, and it could be responsible for creating glades of grassy vegetation in an otherwise forested and wooded landscape relatively unsuitable for the wood bison. But the possible promotion of bison by beavers is most intriguing in Eurasia, where it appears nobody has thought of this aspect. It's easy to overlook the relationship between bison and beavers in Eurasia for two reasons. Firstly, in Eurasia, the beaver is less prominent in the public mind than it is in North America, and that's partly because it's far less common there, or lives in areas that are far more remote. People tend to think of places like Canada when they think of beavers. They do not tend to think of places like Siberia and Russia. And secondly, the form of bison that was formerly widespread in Eurasia is thought to have been mainly a woodland animal. Now, that may or may not be true. It could be that in reality the Eurasian bison was as much a prairie animal in its original environment as the North American bison is. But if it's true that the Eurasian bison was dependent on forests, then it could be that the Eurasian beaver was particularly important in promoting patches of grassy vegetation that provided a niche for the Eurasian bison. Unfortunately, we'll probably never know what the true ecology of the Eurasian bison was, because it became rare so early, well before any decent scientific recording. And today, the remaining small populations of Eurasian bison are kept mainly in forest habitats, not because anyone can really prove that that's their favorite habitat, but more because nobody is prepared to grant even a hectare of prime grassland, prairie land in Eurasia to bison conservation. And so the whole situation is a bit distorted. But it's interesting to think that in the original wilderness of Eurasia many thousands of years ago, there might have been this interesting interaction or symbiosis going on between the Eurasian form of the beaver and the Eurasian form of the bison, in which the tree cutting and river damming activities of the beaver might have been cardinal in promoting patches of herbaceous vegetation for the Eurasian bison. And until next time, this is signing off from Exploring the Bio Edge, and we'll see you later. Bye.